Tableau in the hushed expanse. The olive green patrol vehicle of John A. 40-year-old American and seasoned ranger, with blonde hair and melancholy eyes, rumbled softly along the well-worn dirt track. For over a decade John had been wedded to this sanctuary, knowing every tree, every stream, and above all, understanding the intricate habits of its wild inhabitants. Today, like countless others, John's duty was to ensure the reserve's safety, thwarting poachers and safeguarding the peace of the wildlife. He drove alone, his sad eyes constantly scanning the surroundings, his ears attuned to the familiar symphony of nature, the chirping of birds, the drone of insects, and the rustling of wind through the acacia canopies were all well-known melodies in this wild orchestra. As his vehicle disappeared behind a low rise, John abruptly halted. Ahead, not far off, Leia seemed both bizarre and utterly unexpected. A pride of lions had gathered on the ochre-tinged grass. What astonished John was not their presence, but the behavior of the dominant male. The lion, his thick russet man ablaze like a solar halo, stood upright on his hind legs. His forepaws were clasped together, facing John, forming a posture that was almost one of prayerful entreaty. Around him, the adult lionesses stood in silent observation, their gazes not aggressive but carrying a peculiar air of concern. John switched off the engine, his mind a whirl of disbelief and curiosity. In all his years as a ranger, he had never witnessed such behavior in lions. They were magnificent predators, proud and powerful, never displaying weakness or begging before any other creature. Cautiously opening the vehicle door, John stepped out, his hand hovering near the rifle slung over his shoulder. He maintained a safe distance from the pride, observing them with wary attention. The male lion remained in his strange pose, his amber eyes seemingly pleading for something. An intuition, a gut feeling, told John that something was amiss. He slowly moved closer, calling out softly, "Hey, what's wrong?" Of course, the lions couldn't understand his words, but they seemed to sense the lack of hostility from the ranger. The male lion tilted his head slightly, then turned towards a dense thicket not far away. His gaze flickered towards it, then back to John, as if urging him to follow. Driven by curiosity and a touch of apprehension, John decided to take the risk. He cautiously walked towards the thicket the lion had indicated. The lionesses followed him, wearily keeping their distance but showing no signs of aggression. The male lion continued to lead, occasionally glancing back at John as if to ensure he was still following. As they neared the thicket, John heard faint, pained whimpers, carefully pushing aside the branches. The scene that unfolded before him tightened his chest. A young adult male lion, not yet with a full man, was trapped in a wire snare. The cruel loop had tightened around its hind leg, rendering it immobile and causing it to whimper incessantly in agony. John understood everything. The dominant male lion had recognized the danger of the snare and his own inability to free the trapped young male. He had risked approaching the ranger, a being he might instinctively consider a threat, to beg for help. Without hesitation, John retrieved his toolkit from the vehicle. He carefully approached the terrified young lion, soothing it with soft words. The adult lion stood around, their eyes fixed on John's every move, showing no hint of attack. With his skill and experience, John quickly worked to release the snare from the young male's leg. The wound was quite deep and bleeding, but not life-threatening. After administering basic first aid with the supplies he carried, John set the young male free. The relieved young lion hobbled towards the other lions, nuzzling against them. The dominant male lion approached John, nudging his head against the ranger's leg in a gesture of profound gratitude. It was a touching moment, a communication that transcended the barriers of language between man and wild beast. John understood that in this harsh natural world the bonds of familial love and loyalty were powerful forces. The male lion had set aside his predatory instincts and pride to help a member of his pride, and he had trusted enough to seek help from a human. After that day, John continued his patrols. He no longer felt quite so alone on the dusty tracks, knowing that somewhere in the reserve a pride of lions considered him a friend. Time flowed across the savannah like the shifting sands, and many years passed since that memorable encounter. The rescued young male had grown into a magnificent lion, his man now a thick, dark testament to his strength and authority. He had become one of the most prominent lions in the reserve. One afternoon, as John was driving through a remote area on patrol, he suddenly heard the ferocious roar of lions echoing in the distance. It was not the familiar rumble of the pride he knew, but a sound filled with anger and challenge. As he neared the source of the commotion, John realized a fierce territorial battle was underway between two prides of lions, an unfamiliar pride, their scent and markings betraying their alien origin, was attempting to usurp the territory of the resident pride. John stopped his vehicle, observing the unfolding conflict. The fight was brutal, the lions roaring, biting and clawing at each other. In a cloud of dust he recognized the aging, dominant male of the resident pride being overwhelmed by a larger, more powerful intruder. Suddenly another lion charged into the fray. He was a large and powerful lion with a distinctive dark mane. Jean stared in astonishment. It was the young male he had rescued years ago. The grown-up lion seemed to recognize Jay's nearby presence. He flickered his gaze towards the patrol vehicle. Then, with a mighty roar, he threw himself into the fight to support the elder male and the rest of his pride. His strength and ferocity helped to turn the tide. Together with the other members of the pride, they began to drive back the invaders in the chaos. A severely wounded intruder unexpectedly broke away and charged toward John. He had no time to react as the enraged lion lunged its sharp claws extended. John closed his sad eyes, bracing for the worst, but then a thunderous roar erupted. John opened his eyes to the astonishing sight of the lion he had saved intercepting the attack. A fierce and desperate struggle ensued, and finally the rescued male stood victorious over his defeated foe. With the invading pride and retreat, their morale broken, the lion approached John's vehicle. He stopped a few feet away, his amber eyes meeting John's melancholy gaze. In those eyes John still recognized the gratitude and a unique bond, a silent connection forged between man and beast. The lion nudged his head against the nearby grass, then turned and followed his pride. John sat quietly in his vehicle, his heart overflowing with emotion. He had saved a life years ago, and today that life had protected him. The tale of the ranger and the lion became a legend within the reserve. It was a testament to the fact that even in the harsh wilderness, compassion and kindness could flourish and create extraordinary bonds, transcending the boundaries of species. John knew that from that day forward he would never truly be alone on his patrols, for he had a loyal and courageous friend watching over him from afar, a friend whose life he had once saved and who had in turn saved his own. The reserve remained a place of wild beauty and untamed peace, and a story of this unlikely friendship would be told 4 generations of rangers to come. What emotions did this tale evoke in you, our viewers? Did the lion's desperate plea resonate with your own sense of empathy? Were you moved by the unlikely bond forged between the ranger and the magnificent creature he once saved? We'd love to hear your thoughts and reactions in the comment below. If you enjoyed this Journey into the heart of the African savanna and the extraordinary. Connections that can blossom in the wild. Please consider subscribing to our channel for more stories that celebrate the wonders of our natural world. Your support helps us continue to bring these captivating narratives to you.